Hi, this is Kirsten, and this is my Week 7 summary. To start, we had an assignment called Digital Nation. We watched a video that talked about how our nation has just completely turned into a digital one. We live in a generation where we're so consumed with technology and video games and the latest devices. It also focused a lot on multitasking with these devices, how it affects students in school. Um, a lot of people think that they're very good at multitasking, and in fact, we're not as good as we think we are at multitasking, and it can really negatively affect our performances on the tasks that we do. I do think as much as we have become obsessed with technology, at the same time, we have a choice as to how much we want to be inside this digital nation. It was also quite unnerving to see how completely obsessed some of the kids were with video games. Staying up all night playing video games it's not healthy for anyone, and there are actually a lot of health risks involved in letting children do that, like visual and hearing impairments. So I think it's important to teach kids to moderate their use of technology, and to use it in a way that's going to positively affect them and not negatively. Next, I went ahead and replied to the disobedience discussion from last week. I thought it was pretty interesting how a lot of my classmates also shared a similar childhood to the author of the article. I also really related to the article and how you have that childlike wonder and you just need to know the answers to every question you have, why the way things are and what they do and how they work, and you look to your parents for those answers, and if they don't have those answers, it's kind of mind-boggling. Next, we had to do our neat resource for this week, which was on the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope. I picked this specific website for my resource because it gives a really great description of the LSST. This telescope will be providing 3D maps of the universe at different times, and this is going to help scientists narrow down the possible explanations for dark energy. It's also going to be great for discovering and also studying the exploding stars, which are known as supernovas. Even more incredibly is that all of these images that the telescope is going to take with the camera are going to be available for the entire world via the internet. It is being built in Chile, and it will be done in approximately 2020. Next, I went and signed up for our interviews that we're going to do next week. And lastly, I finished my cultural science reflection paper. I chose the Arizona Challenger Space Center. I learned about the first nonstop transatlantic flight, which was done by Sir John William Alcock and Sir Arthur Whitten Brown. I also got to learn a lot of in-depth information about meteorites and the different types there are. Then I walked around and I got to look at all the pictures of the astronauts, their names, the missions that they went on, different space shuttles and models, and they also had parts of the shuttles on display. Then I attended a simulation of a actual space mission, and the mission that I went on was called Rendezvous with the Comet, We got to break up into groups. One group was on the spacecraft and the other group was ground control. We all had our own jobs to do on the mission. My job first was to do research on the safe levels of toxicity allowed in the air filters, and then we got to trade positions, and then I was actually on board the spacecraft, and then I used a robotic arm to test the air filters, and if they were too toxic, then I got to dispose of them. And it was really difficult to um, maneuver the robotic arm at first, but then I got the hang of it. So it was actually just a really, really cool experience, and I'm very glad that I went. So here are just some pictures